Hello everyone and welcome to CareersTalk. I'm Suran Sharma, an Agile consultant based in Netherlands. And today we will be covering some tricky, challenging situational Scrum Master interview questions shared by our WhatsApp group members. And to help us, we have today Mehdi Hoseini with us, a professional Scrum trainer, PST. But friends, before we start, make sure to subscribe for more such informative sessions. And if you find the content valuable, which I'm sure you will, don't forget to smash that like button. So without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome, Mehdi. Mehdi, over to you.
Yeah, Sunan, well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really happy that I have this opportunity to start the new year 2025 with this
Yes,
amazing interview. I'm completely ready for this episode.
great. So why don't you tell us about a very brief about yourself? Yeah, we know that you're PhD, so no introduction is needed, but still, if you want to just tell us quickly.
Yeah, sure. I have been working in the software industry for around 25 years. First, I was a developer, and then it was 2013 that I had a terrible failure, which was my turning point, and I got familiar with Agile and Scrum. Since then, I have been mostly a Scrum Master in the market, and these days I am a full-time trainer helping people to learn the essence and foundation of Scrum and Agile way of working.
Wonderful. Great. So if you allow, shall we start?
Yeah, sure. And by the way, I'm living in the Netherlands, in your
Oh,
country.
yes. You are in North Ireland and I'm in the South Ireland. So yes, we are just in the same country. Great. So here comes the very first question, and it's a tricky one. So let's say a developer raises concerns about why the Scrum Master and the product owner are not required to attend the daily Scrum. So how would you explain the rationale for their optional presence while ensuring the team should understand the purpose of the event and then they feel supported? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question to start. But first, let me explain the essence and theory of daily Scrum because many people and teams miss the intention of the daily Scrum. Based on the definition, daily Scrum is an event to inspect our progress toward the sprint goal and adapt our work for the next upcoming 24 hours. Okay. In fact, every single event in a Scrum is a formal opportunity for inspection and adaptation. Without inspection and adaptation, you cannot deal with complexities in the way of developing and delivering your product. But there's another side of the Scrum. We know that a Scrum team has two characteristics. It is cross-functional and it is self-managing. What does self-managing mean? Think of it. It says the Scrum team as a whole can decide who does what, when, and how. Okay. And your developers not only should be able to create value for the market and for our stakeholders, but they should be able to manage their work by themselves. It's like the relationship between a mother and a child. When a child wants to grow, okay, for the first few years, the mother feeds that child, you know, but for how long? For the whole of their life? Absolutely not. Probably it would be, I don't know, 1 or 2 years or something like this. But the mother has an approach to teach that child to learn how they can, eat their food. In fact, they are supporting their children toward the self-managing state. So here, a Scrum Master or product owner should not have a tendency to be a nanny for the team. Their main intention should be helping the team to be a self-managing team. And because of that, the presence of a Scrum Master and product owner in the daily Scrum is optional. It doesn't say that a Scrum Master cannot be there, but it's optional. So based on this definition, A Scrum Master can be in the daily Scrum, specifically for the first steps that a Scrum team starts using a Scrum to develop their product. Probably they need to know a lot of things. So a Scrum Master can be there to teach them how to have and run an effective daily Scrum. So from my experience and my learnings, I believe in the first stage of adapting to a Scrum Master is to be there in the daily Scrum, but not with an intention to be there forever, but for a limited time, okay, with an approach to help them to get empowered to learn how they can run an effective daily Scrum based on the main intention behind the daily Scrum: inspection and adaptation. Inspection, their progress toward the sprint goal, and their adaptation based on the latest learning over the past 24 hours. Yeah, I'm done.
Wonderful. I really like your analogy of mother and child. So great. Cool. Great.
Yeah,
So let's move on to our next question. The next question
sure.
is, yeah. So the next question is about, again, product owner insisting to add some urgent ad hoc task during the mid sprint. And the PO is arguing that it's critical for customer satisfaction. But then team already have some other improvement goals, which they have discussed in the previous retrospective. So how would you balance this with the team's process improvement goal while upholding the Scrum values? Mandy?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Um, First of all, having urgent work is not the end of the world, guys. Okay, it's real. It's the definition of our life. As we are imperfect, we are perfect. Imagine if everyone were perfect, then the world didn't have any, real meaning. So don't be afraid of having urgent or unplanned work. This is the first message that I want to share with our audience. The second one is that how you approach those urgent, or unplanned work. First of all, our main approach should be helping and serving our customers and stakeholders to get and receive real value. Imagine our customers have a real pain right now, even in the middle of the sprint. What is our main mission as a Scrum team? We are there to create satisfied customers. So why should we ignore them if we see that they are shouting that right now we have a problem or pain? So as a self-managing team, who has the full ownership of the work, okay, we should take care of these shoutings. We cannot ignore them just to say, hey guys, based on the definition of a scrum, we should not lose our focus in the middle of the sprint. That's okay as a general guideline, but what is your main intention of using a scrum? A scrum itself is a tool. It's not your main goal. It just helps you to achieve more effectively your main goal, which is creating satisfied customers. Okay. And from my point of view, and I experienced it a lot, I say that our approach define how we deal with, unplanned work. How? Imagine you have received unplanned work here in the middle of the sprint. The good practice is that to discuss it immediately with the team to see what it is. Really, is it that severe, or, evaluate its severity? Discuss it with your stakeholders. Why not? You are working in a transparent environment. In fact, you should be in a state that you promote transparency. So directly talk with your customers or stakeholders to understand the real severity of that urgent work and ask them is it possible we postpone it to the next sprint when we can select that urgent work as a regular work for the next sprint or not? If it is possible with the negotiation that you can have with your customers, do it. Then you will keep the focus of the team. Imagine your stakeholders say, no, right now we need to resolve it as soon as possible and immediately. Then here, this is another story. From my point of view, you should accept it, even with the cost of losing your focus, for the sake of having a satisfied customer. Okay. And here you can, you know, change your center of attention to resolve that urgent work as soon as possible. But the process doesn't end here, Sunan. Again, here I want to bring some tips here based on the experience. Whenever you resolve an emergency work, you need to take one other step as well. What is it? This is the root cause analysis to understand why such an emergent work popped up in the middle of the sprint. And you want to deliberately think and work on that, route to resolve it, to prevent seeing the same urgent work in the future. We call it double loop learning. In fact, we have two loops of learning. The first one is single loop of learning. When you see urgent work, you resolve it, you learn something. That's okay. But when you go to beyond of that, to understand why behind that urgent work, in fact, you are going to the second loop of learning, which is double loop learning. So if you want to be an effective Scrum team, you need to have the double loop learning, because with this process, you will be in in an environment created by you to deal effectively with emergent work. I'm done.
Great, Mehdi. Thank you for that elaborated answer. Great.
My pleasure.
Uh, let's move on. So again, this is a little bit tricky.
Uh-huh.
So there are three teams. They are working on an interdependent component of the same product, and they cannot agree on a consistent definition of done. So how would you meditate to reach an alignment that satisfy all the teams without compromising the quality?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I agree. First of all, guys, for complex problems, there is no expert. The conversation helps us to find solutions that works for our context, not a silver bullet for all teams in the world. Okay. The first message of mine is that be creative to see how you can move forward. It's natural that you cannot create a shared definition of done, but it doesn't mean it is impossible. Okay. I believe you need to start first with a minimum shared understanding of done. Put all those expectations in the document of your definition of done. Imagine it is, I don't know, uh, with 4 items. Okay, for example, we expect to have or to pass all the unit tests. We need to pass all the acceptance tests. We need to check our regulatory, expectations, and these things. They are shared in all those three ones. Then start using that definition of done to learn how you can adhere to that DoD together. I mean, those three themes. And then when you learn to adhere to the current definition of done, then challenge yourself as a collective mind of those three themes. Start thinking how you can add new items to your definition of done to make it more stringent, which help you to, improve the quality of your product. Guys, listen to me. When you add new items and expectations in your definition of done, you need to invest in your knowledge. It doesn't happen in just one night. Okay. Imagine you say, hey guys, we want to have acceptance criteria based on given when then format, which comes from Gherkin language. Okay. To have better acceptance criteria. So you need to read about given when then format. You need to practice how to write test scenarios in your acceptance criteria. You see, you need to be patient and dedicate yourself to learn about that expectation in your definition of done. Because of that, we say that definition of done is a dynamic concept like product backlog. Product backlog is an emergent and dynamic concept. Sorry, DoD is the same concept. So be courageous to elevate it with one item at a time. Don't rush. When you add new item, stay there to learn it completely and then move forward after a few sprints and take another item to add it into your definition of done. So it happens gradually. You don't want to have a comprehensive BOD in the first day of the work in your environment. It doesn't happen. It has distance from the reality of using the definition of done. Okay. So probably those three teams, as they cannot have an agreement around the definition of done, probably they have a high level of expectation of that definition of done. So start it simple and elevate it gradually. This is a tricky approach, tricky approach for the life of our duty, which I believe it is the foundation of the quality of the work. Yeah, this is my answer.
Great, great. So my learning is like using all these inputs, I would facilitate a baseline DoD maybe, which we call a
Yes.
unified DoD, which will have a common quality and the process requirement for all the teams. And then we have a space for a team specific add-ons that do not conflict with the shared baseline. And you also mentioned that, okay, we can also propose a kind of trial period for the unified DoD where we can encourage team to provide their feedback after implementing it. So this way the agreement can be evolved based on the real world challenges. So I think that's a great suggestion. So
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely. And one more thing I want
Yeah,
to mention is that uh, as we are working in an environment where multiple teams are working together on a single product, it doesn't mean all the duties of all three teams should be completely the same. No, they need to have a baseline, as you mentioned, but every single team can have their, a specific DoD that doesn't violate that baseline DoD. Okay, because maybe you need to have an item in your DoD that just that is applicable just to your team, not for other teams. Okay, so keep this room of flexibility for the teams to have their own DoD as well, regarding and adhering to the baseline DoD. Yeah,
great. Yes, yes. Thank you for that.
yeah,
Okay,
my pleasure.
so let's move on to our next question, which is on
Sure.
leadership. And again, I'm sure like most of our Scrum Master will find this kind of challenges. So let's
Yeah.
assume that your senior leadership insists on implementing some strict control measure that conflict with the agile principles. So how would you influence your leadership to adopt a more decentralized or trust-based approach while respecting their concerns? So yeah,
Yeah. Uh, My answer to this challenging question is that the first step we need to take is to understand why that leader wants this level of control. It's really important that you understand them, because with good understanding, you can take effective steps to resolve it. Without understanding, you just do your work based on your intuition, which is most likely to be wrong, to be honest. Okay. And for this situation, there's a good technique which is called empathy map. Probably you have heard about it, Sunan. Okay. And we use it in the PSM advanced class, and we put people in teams and ask them to put themselves in the shoes of a leader. Okay, for example, a project manager. We ask them in the real world and understand their role. Imagine your organization has started adopting a Scrum. A Scrum says the Scrum team is self-managing, so they should be able to take over all their work by themselves. So naturally, the first, you know, worries come to life for the middle managers. Hey guys, it seems they don't need us anymore. Okay. In the past, we were supposed to control everything. We were supposed to, resolve every mess or these things, and people relied on us when they got a problem. But these days, Scrum says no, they are self-managing teams, so they should resolve their problems by themselves. Maybe this leader has these words inside, their mind, and they just want to prove that they have still the main control of the work. If this is the case, how would you approach this problem? It is completely different than when a leader understands the agile way of working, but they don't trust the team to take over all the work. You see? So the first step is to understand the problem and why that leader is behaving with that, way. The next step is that we can talk with them and, as you mentioned, facilitate a workshop, a session to share what is the essence of this new way of working, agile way of working. Why should we be open? Why should we empower teams to take over all their work? Okay. So whenever you are behaving based on real transparency and your words are authentic, people will understand it, guys. We know that agile way of working is having an adaptive, mindset to be open to changes in the market. We are living in a fast changing world. So if we are rigid and if we don't become open to those changes, the only result is failure or even, going out of the market. It's natural. So I can say it is a skill that we need to develop. If our leader doesn't have this skill yet, it is our responsibility. You know that a Scrum Master has accountability in three levels: inside the team, the interactions and relationships between other teams and departments, and in the wider organization level. If one of your leaders doesn't know the new agile way of working, it is your responsibility as a Scrum Master to help and support them to become aware of this new way of working. So, how you want to help them to get aware of this? You need to be creative because it is completely context-based approach. But you cannot ignore your responsibility. Because imagine your middle managers are using a command and control approach, but inside the team, you are using the new agile way of working. So it's a big conflict. They cannot work together. So if you want to lay down a smooth process, you need to take care of the middle manager life as well. You see? So first, understanding and then helping them to get empowered and become aware of the new way of working. Then they will naturally will change their way of interacting with the team.
Wonderful, Mehdi. Thank you for that elaborated answer. And then steps like how part is also very important, which you have also covered. So that's great.
My
Wonderful.
pleasure.
Okay. So let's move on to our next question. A new project is being planned, and how would you evaluate that whether the Scrum, Kanban, or even a traditional waterfall approach is the best fit for this particular project? Because nowadays, everything and anything is just Scrum. So how you are going to differentiate? I know it's very basic, but then still, I think it's a good question. Most of the time, people forget that why we are using Scrum or Agile or Kanban or waterfall. So yeah, over to you.
Sure. First of all, let's be honest. Scrum is a tool. It's not the goal. Um, I remember last year I recorded a video called Island Story. Imagine we have two islands. The first island is a desert without any water, food, and these things. And you are there. And there is another island which is green, a lot of food, hobbies, entertainment, and all your family members are there. Okay. And you want to go from island A to island B. Your main need and requirement is going from island A to B. To do that, you need a tool. It can be a boat, it can be a submarine, it can be a, I don't know, um, a spaceship, whatever you can imagine, okay? But you choose those one which is more effective with the lower cost and these things with your expectations. But at the end of the day, you need one tool to move from island A to island B. The moving from A to B in the product development environment is how we can create and build valuable product for the market, okay, to create satisfied customer. This is your requirement, your expectation, your goal. Now you are checking the market, which tool you have in hand. Because whenever you are supposed to work as a team, a lot of complexity will pop up regarding your interactions and communications. So you want to have a structured way of collaboration and teamwork. From my point of view, I believe Scrum is a neat, structured way of collaboration and teamwork. So you start and choose using a Scrum. But whenever you want to choose a tool, you have different options, like a boat, a submarine, a spaceship, and these things. And in the product development environment, we have Scrum, Kanban, XP, traditional way of development, and these things. So how we should choose one of them? Hmm. There are a few, factors and parameters that we can consider when we want to choose one of these tools. The first one is that the level of complexity that we have in our context. Complexity means the amount of unknowns you have in your environment. Imagine you are in a state that you want to create a completely unknown product. Let me give you an example. Imagine the Instagram. If you go to the history of Instagram, which was 2010, something like this, two people decided to build an iPhone application, okay, for managing check-in and check-out in entertainment environment. For example, in restaurants, cinemas, I don't know, swimming pools, and these things. Even the first name of the Instagram was not Instagram, it was Berden or Berben or something like this. They put their energy for 1 year developing the first version of the application. When they released it to the market, they didn't get any reliable traction. But they got great feedback. They understood that people needed to share their pictures and photos. So they decided to have a pivot to focus on developing features, serving people to easily share their photos and pictures. And all of a sudden, they got a huge traction. I read about it. They said for the first year after that, they got 1 million users in 1 year after that pivot. But imagine if they didn't do their first iteration in the first year, they couldn't have understood the right way to have that pivot to create something that people wanted. This approach is called learn by doing. You don't need to be great to start your work. You need to start your work to be great. Okay? It's a big lesson learned, guys. So here, if you have a lot of uncertainties and unknowns, I believe Scrum would be the best choice, to be honest. It's my perspective. And we have other options as well, as you mentioned, traditional way of working and Kanban as well. When you see you are in a state that you want to develop and create a product that you don't have any type of uncertainties, and you did it in the past as well, you just want to repeat it, probably the traditional way of working will work. Why not? Okay. For example, imagine you want to rewrite a legacy code for the sake of improving the maintainability. That's it. You don't want to add new features. Okay. If it is the case, why shouldn't we use traditional way of working, which is a sequential one? That's okay. I don't see any problem in that one. Sunan, I'm a true citizen in the Scrum world, but I'm not a blind fan of a Scrum. To be honest, because if you blindly, say this is the best one and there is nothing better than one, it's not a good approach. It doesn't work.
True.
So yes, still there are some situations that you can use traditional way of working. Why not? And about Kanban, you know that Kanban is uh, a main focus on the flow, having more a smooth flow of creating and delivering work to the market. And of course, visualizing the flow as well. If you don't have, a requirement of achieving goals and your context say, hey guys, we have always ad hoc work, but we want to make sure that we can respond to those work immediately in a constant and robust way, then probably Common can be a good option. Why not? In a Scrum, you need to work iteratively. Each iteration is called a sprint. For each sprint, you want to have a goal, which is called a sprint goal. And a sprint goal should come from, the outcome and impact. Why is it valuable to do this sprint? If you have these requirements in your context, okay, think of a Scrum. Why not? But if you don't have such a thing to meet goals step by step, well, and you just want to have a smooth flow of delivery of the work, okay, think of Kanban. Why not? But it's not 0, 1. Okay, you can use the potentials of Kanban in a Scrum. Why not? For example, in Kanban, you can monitor work in progress to control them. You can use it in your Scrum, work as well. Why not? Imagine you have 6 developers, and every single developer is working in a separate initiative or PBI. It's not a real teamwork. But if you put a VIP or work in progress limit in their work and ask them, hey guys, every time we are just allowed to work on 3 PBIs. That's it. So they have to collaborate. On average, every PBI will have two developers, and then they will have more focus helping them to create and finish that PBI sooner. You see, you can enforce your Scrum with potential of Kanban. So my last sentence for this question is be creative, guys. Don't limit your mind to just one framework or methodology and saying this is the best one and we don't take care of others. No, it's not a good approach, right? Use them, check them, review them, why we should use them, and then, with awareness, choose one of them. I'm done.
Yes, great, Mehdi. Your elaborated answer, you covered all the important aspect points. Wonderful.
My pleasure.
Okay, so uh, whoever our viewers who are watching right now, we are halfway through our session. And if you made it this far, I would really encourage you to subscribe. And if you're enjoying this session, please hit that like button. It means a lot to us. Okay, with this request, let's move on with our next question, which is that there are multiple teams, they are working on same product, but then their priorities are different. So there are a lot of misalignment in the deliverables, which is happening. So how would you facilitate these kind of collaboration or the synchronization across the multiple teams, Mandy? It's again a very common challenge which we all face as a Scrum Master.
Do they have one product owner or multiple product owners?
Okay, this is a good question. So let's assume we have a one product owner and we have a multiple product owner. So what makes it different?
Uh,
Two more
that's a big
scenarios for
question.
you.
Yeah, so not.
But let's try
We
to
know,
summarize in a short
yes.
because we have a lot of other questions. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
okay, sure, sure. Guys, we know that based on the definition in a Scrum, we should just have one product owner. The main reason is that about the decision making. Whenever you have multiple product owners, the decision making of the ordering of the PBI in the product backlog would be a big challenge. Okay. And we need to trust our product owner to get empowered to become a mini CEO at the end. So if you have multiple product owners, how can you make sure that you will have a smooth product backlog management? Product backlog management has two notions. The first one, the ordering of the PBI, and the second one is about the content. It means what should we develop and create. These two items are decided by product owner, although they can have input from the team members, developers, and a scrum master. But at the end of the day, the product owner is accountable for the effective product backlog management. And because of that, we don't want to have multiple product owners for a product, even when multiple teams are working on a single product. So the first question is this one. Do we have the right structure of team composition or not? For a Scrum Master, you need to check them. If you have multiple product owners for one product, it's a big challenge, really, really big challenge. You need to resolve it as soon as possible. It doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. Okay. The second step, imagine you have just one product owner. That's good. So now you say we have conflicts in priorities. Okay. Again, the first step should be understanding the situation. Why you have this type of conflict? From my point of view, if we adhere to the guidelines of a Scrum, we shouldn't have this conflict. Why? Because just one person is accountable for ordering PBIs. This is product owner. So why should we have this conflict? Maybe you say, hey guys, our product owner is not that empowered, so they need to get, input from other people, maybe inside the team, some developers, other scrum masters, or even someone else outside the team. For example, your CPO, product managers. We have these people in real organizations. Then we need to support our product owner to get empowered. For example, maybe you need to send them to a training course. I don't know. Or watching a video, an informative video about the effective product backlog management, or defining, you know, product goals. So think of it, guys. What is the main problem? The why behind this situation? For every problem in the Scrum team, the first step is to understand the real why behind the situation. Then it will show you the process of moving forward. Without understanding, guys, don't take any step of resolution. It doesn't work. Luckily, maybe you can resolve it, by luck. But if you want to have effective approach, first understand the situation. I'm done.
True. Yeah. Wonderful, Mehdi. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, let's move on. So next question is on metric. So how would you
Mhm.
introduce matrices that track a team performance to promote continuous improvement and remain transparent to the stakeholders? I know I personally myself is a not big fan of matrices, but then it's a necessity in this organization where we all are working. So how you are going to
Yeah.
manage this?
Yeah. First of all, when you're talking about the metric, you need to consider that not to focus on activity-based metrics. Imagine, for example, the
Yes.
log work that you force people to register in Jira or Azure DevOps or something like this, and then get a summation of the hours people you use to create PBIs. It doesn't work, guys. So we need to focus on outcome driven and impact driven metrics. Imagine you develop a bunch of features, but no one uses them. What will happen? Are you performant? Are you effective? Absolutely not. Even you create them quality. Mm-mm. But you are performant when you create your right product right. You create something that from the perception of your stakeholders and customers is real value. Then we can say, yes, you are performant, guys. For example, one of the metrics that I really love is NPS, Net Promoter Score. Just as an example. Why? Because it doesn't come from inside the team. It should come from the market. You should ask your stakeholders, hey, guys, are you willing to promote our product to your colleagues, friends, and family members? If they say 9 or 10, then it's a big signal, a strong signal that you are developing real value. Be courageous to be vulnerable and ask these type of questions from your market. Why not? It was just an example, but I ask you to be creative to select various types of metrics from the outcome and impact, aspect of the work. Maybe you ask, so is there any framework or model for metrics or not? Yes, there is. For example, one of them that I really love is EBM, evidence-based management, okay, which with the main intention of evaluating the agility level of an organization. At the end of its guide, you will see many examples of metrics. You can read them and choose some of them to use in your environment. There is another one that I really love, which is Durometrics. Okay. I really love this one. Even last week, I received the report of 2024. I really love that. Okay. And they have a little bit changed the metrics definition a little bit. I just, had a small, review of it. It was my first perception of the last report. And they have five metrics there, at least based on the small, read that I had. And they gave us a table of level of performance. You can be an elite, high, medium, and low performance team. Okay. And you can check yourself where you are regarding those metrics. It's a good sign to tell you where you are and how you can take the first step to move forward. Okay. There are two more things I want to share with the audience based on my experience. I always use two powerful questions at the end of each sprint. I don't want to tell them they are metrics, but they are powerful questions. The first one, have we created releasable done increment or not? Every single iteration and a sprint is a learning loop, Sunan. Okay. And you need to close that learning loop. How can we close that learning loop? By creating releasable done increment. It gives you a potential to get reliable feedback from your stakeholders. If you don't have a releasable done increment, you don't have any opportunity to get real feedback. Even we can claim it's harsh, but I believe it's true. If you are not able to create done increment each sprint, you are not using a Scrum. Even you are not using a Scrum, because this is the essence of a Scrum. If we wanted to squeeze a Scrum into just one sentence, it would be creating done increment each sprint. Your first responsibility as a Scrum Master who is accountable for establishing a Scrum framework is helping and teaching the team to be able to create done increment each sprint. For the first sprints, it's natural that probably they will not be there. That's okay. But for a long time, if you cannot be there, it's a big problem. Okay. So the first question, when they have learned this approach, have we created done increment in the sprint or not? And the second question, have we met our sprint goal or not? If you get two yeses for these questions, you are in a right direction, to be honest. But if you don't have yeses, it's a strong signal that there is a problem. Sunan, we know that there are a lot of Scrum teams out there. They don't even use a sprint goal concept at all. So how can check their progress throughout the sprint, and at the end of the sprint, they say, hey guys, yes, we have met or we haven't met it. So if you want to use these two powerful questions, you need to set the stage. You need to teach your people, hey guys, having a sprint goal is non-negotiable. It doesn't work. It aligns people toward a single objective, giving them reason to collaborate. If you don't have such a thing, everyone goes in a specific direction. No? So use these approaches. I'm done.
Great. Thank you, Mehdi, for that. Okay, let's move on. So the next question is, when a team completes their work, there are non-visual work. So for example, someone is working as a backend developer or as a backend development we have done. So now the stakeholders are a little dissatisfied with the lack of demonstrable progress. Again, it's a
Yeah.
kind of tricky situation which we have in a couple of projects. So how you manage this kind of feedback and how you ensure that the expectations are aligned?
Yeah, that's a good question. Guys, if we want to have a long run viability and stability, we have to pay these costs. Specifically, for example, for paying back your technical debt, doing your improvement work, and these things, they don't have tangible output for your stakeholders. Obviously, I'm okay with that one, okay? But they are real work. You cannot ignore them. Imagine you pile up your technical debts, saying, hey guys, our stakeholders just want to see tangible work. They just need features. In every single sprint review, they want to see, develop features that is usable by them. And you are not paying back your technical debt. What will happen? Nothing. In the future, your speed will go down slowly, step by step. Even it has a potential to stop you completely. Because when you want to develop a new feature, in every step you see a problem and you cannot move forward. So, as we know that these are real concerns, we should share them with our stakeholders to become aware of the importance of these concerns. Hey, stakeholders, we cannot ignore technical debt. We cannot ignore improvement work. Otherwise, probably for a few sprints, we will show you, working features, but in the future, we will lose our pace. We will lose quality. If you explain these concepts for them, then they will say, yeah, we got it. So let's put a portion of capacity of the team every single sprint. For example, 20% for these types of work. Then you will see, based on their awareness, you have the opportunity to work on, intangible work as well. I'm done.
Wonderful, Mehdi. Yeah, thank you for that. So I think, Mehdi, we are good for today's session. We still have a lot of questions remaining, but maybe we'll do one more session with you in future for sure.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, thank you, Mehdi, for
Probably I
this,
was a little bit talkative. Yeah.
no,
I
no,
apologize for that one.
no, that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay. But I think it's an interest of time. I think, yeah, we have already finished close to 45 or 50 minutes, so
Yeah, sure.
that's okay.
Sure.
So thank you, Mehdi, for that, and thank you, friends, for joining us to this session. We hope you found this session helpful and informative. And if you enjoyed this session, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And we hope to see you in our next session very soon. So bye bye. Thank you, and thank you, Mehdi, one more time.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.